Welcome into Pressbox Live. I'm Stan the Fan Charles of Pressbox and PressBoxOnline.com. With me is Eric Garfield. And Eric, we've got a little bit of an announcement to make tonight, that tonight will not be the last show of the season. Next week will be, and it will either be on Wednesday or Thursday next week. We haven't decided that yet. We're going to do something kind of special tonight, though, on this edition of the show. We're going to name your minor league player of the year and minor league pitcher of the year in the system. And we'll get to that in just a minute. Got to tell you, though, that we are brought to you, as always, by our friends at AJ Michaels Heating and Air Conditioning. What company makes your home more energy efficient, kills all allergens and viruses, and qualifies you for $5,000 in rebates? That's AJ Michaels. AJ Michaels and Carrier, the big boys. And if you're craving that classic New York deli experience, Atman's Deli in Baltimore Harbor Point is now open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Dine in, grab takeout, or hang out at the bar for the next O's game. Atman's Deli, an authentic taste, a Baltimore tradition since 1915. We're proud to have the Atman's folks associated with. Find them at Harbor Point or visit atmansdeli.com. And we're always brought to you by the Costas Inn, and we'll tell you about them a little bit later onto this edition of Pressbox Live. Eric, I know you just came from your basketball practice. Otherwise,
Correct.
you'd be in a nice, beautiful dress shirt. No, I'm kidding you. That's a
Probably
cool
not.
shirt. What is that a shirt of? What is that?
This is one of the album covers from Pink
Pink
Floyd.
Floyd. Okay.
Right.
All right. Good. Good.
Most of the players on my team did not recognize it.
Well, they're young. They're too young.
Right.
And I'm too old. Okay.
Okay.
We were going to do something a little bit different and talk. This has been a year of great change in the Oriole minor league system, where we finally started to really graduate a number of players. And not surprisingly, we traded a couple players away. And we're going to look at what's left and who your player of the year is. First of all, I know it's got to come down because Jackson Holliday didn't play in the minor leagues enough this year. I mean, he probably played 50 games to be the minor league player of the year. He would have been had he stayed in AAA the whole year, I think.
Probably.
But the two players that come to my mind are Kobe Mayo, who's been doing it at AAA, hasn't gotten hot at the major league level. Been a little bit of signs of improvement, but not much. But I'm not worried about him. And then Sammy Basayo, who's played at Bowie for a substantial part of the year and gone up to AAA and is doing his thing there as well. So am I right? Does it boil down to those two guys?
Absolutely. The Orioles minor league player is one of those two hitters. I guess overall, it was going to be somebody offensive, a position player. No real pitcher has stepped into superstardom. So the player of the year is definitely a position player / hitter.
All right. One bit of information I'm hoping to get out of you. I just heard it on the broadcast last night that Heston Kjerstad is playing at Bowie right now. Is there any word on, is he just played one game, or did we miss getting that news for a couple days?
No, he played in High A Aberdeen initially, and I believe it was 2 games, 5 at bats, so not any full game. And then he went up to Bowie, where he was 1 for 3 last night and played 7 innings in the field. So you can see it's a gradual high minors reintroduction. What we can't tell if that means he's on his way all the way back to the Orioles, or if they want him to maintain health in the minor leagues. He's a great hitter, so I'm going to estimate they're going to add him to the playoff roster, but that's a discussion for potentially another show.
All right. The pitching people, are they the obvious candidates, the guys that have been in AAA like Cade Povich or Chase McDermott? Are those the guys that are in running for that pitcher of the year?
No, I did not use either of them. Really, the main determinant for my choice was who did the most with their innings to improve their organizational standing or status. And we already knew that McDermott and Povich were on a major league track and what their strengths and talents were.
Gotcha.
You know, they kind of showed them in other organizations first. So it is not one of those high minors name pitchers.
All right. Let's get to it then. Without
Okay.
further ado, let's start with the pitcher of the year,
Okay.
okay?
Okay.
Because then now you've got me really intrigued as to who
Good.
that could be.
Good.
So tell us who it is.
It was not Alex Pham, who had a great year and really changed his organizational standing. It was not Brandon Young, who kind of went from what looked like a minor league career guy to maybe a 40-man guy next year. Both of those really stepped forward, but they didn't win it. The winner for me was the low arm slot starter, sometimes reliever from University of Michigan. I am giving this award to Cam Weston for the 2024 season. He is the one that impressed me the most, changed his organizational status the most, and had great stats: .98 WHIP and 125 strikeouts in just 100 innings. So he really
And
changed at least what I think about it.
What was the ERA like?
Weston's ERA for the season, where he had 88 of his 105 innings at AA. His season ERA is 2.83, and the average against him for the year combined was 202. So really, really confounding hitters. When he got up to AA, there was a little bit more contact and a little bit more hard contact, but he walked less, allowed less on base, and his strikeout rate went from 27 to 29. So a slight increase in how many people he's striking out when the competition gets a little tougher.
And give me one more number. How many innings did he pitch total? 105 or 125?
105 innings, 125 strikeouts.
Okay. How many home runs?
Oh, good question, because that's his bugaboo. That's his problem. Very good question. 11. So
Okay.
it's not
Not
a
horrible.
ton,
Not
and it's
horrible.
not significant. But when you look at all his stats in a row, that's the one that kind of stands out. So, like, I'm in my coaching office here. Any coach wants to have their athlete with something to work on to improve the
Yep.
whole package, and that's his. So, limiting hard contact and barrel rate will reduce those home runs. We want 6 or 7 per 100 innings. If he can do that, he's elite.
All
And
right.
he's a
Now,
guaranteed start.
when you say he elevated his standing in the organization, was he a top 30 Oriole prospect coming into the season?
Nope.
And
Not
where do you think he'll be on those lists? A top
okay.
10 now?
Great. I'm gonna say for me,
Yeah.
I'd have him at 8. When I did my list, he was 8. But for other people that don't pay attention to the Orioles like we do, he has to be between 13 and 20. I mean, he is the pitcher that stands out, like I said, more than Pham and more than Young, who really had great campaigns. He also had 15 total decisions. He went 6-9, and all of his appearances were not starts. He won last night. If you look at his game logs, Weston has had 3 subpar starts, one that's really bad, and it was 5 earned runs in like 4 innings. So he
Now,
didn't even get blown out the entire season. Really good year for him.
Now, Pham is a pitcher I liked a lot last year
Yep.
when I saw him live. When I looked up in like early June or something, his ERA was way in the high 4s.
Yep. He's got it down.
You said he had a really great season. So was he really incredibly good from say the middle of June till now?
As a matter of fact, he was significantly better during that window than he was in the first half. I don't think he got his FIP to below 4, but I think it's right at 4.01, 4.07, somewhere in that range. So, yeah, he started off bad, And if you would have looked in April, it was even worse. So he
Yeah.
spent the back half of the season normalizing while developing his pitches and getting in better shape.
You think
Pham is on the
he's
40 man next year.
you think he's on the 40 man, and you
Yeah.
think he'll be at Norfolk next year?
Yep. There and another thing, he's uber athletic. He does not get tired. In the sixth inning, his metrics are the same as the first inning, and the Orioles are an organization that really values that. They want to know that you can get down, sit down, and stand up 5 or 6 times to come out back to that mound. He showed them that this year.
So it sounds like, in addition, this is a kind of a positive, in addition to McDermott and Povich, who we kind of got a little bit of a look at both of them, they will go into next year with a chance to make the team, I would think.
Yep.
But it sounds like this year was a pretty good development year for Brandon Young,
Yep.
Alex Pham, and Cam Weston.
I stand, while I agree that that is a positive, a lot of rankers consider the Orioles system number one. And if they were really number one, some of those names that you would have said would be like high draft picks, guys that throw 99, and there would be like 8 of them instead of 3. So, like you said at the outset tonight, some changes are occurring in the system. That's an indication that the level of overall pitching is not A level. It's closer to like C plus or B level, which isn't horrible and isn't nothing, but it's drastically different than the couple years before.
Okay. And would you agree with me the most disappointing pitcher is Baumeister?
Baumler, I believe is who you mean.
No, not Baumler,
Uh,
but the one who's in Norfolk, Baumeister. They thought he might have a chance to make the team, to come up and pitch at the major league level this year. I remember
well,
reading a piece by Mioli about it, that they thought there was a chance he could become the first actual draft pick by the Orioles pitcher come up to the major league.
I actually stand. He was on track to win this award. He would have won it, but he was traded to the Rays, so he's no longer a member
I'm
of
talking
the
about, I thought, who was the guy traded to the Rays?
Baumeister.
Baumeister. Then who was the
Jackson
other
Baumeister.
guy I'm talking?
We
There's a
drafted him
guy
from
on North. There's a guy on Norfolk, because Baumeister didn't pitch for Norfolk. He pitched for Aberdeen. Who am
right.
I talking about? He's been at AAA all season.
I can't
Okay. I
recall
saw
right
his name
now.
today, and I could have sworn it was Baumeister.
This is proof
Jackson.
that
What is the guy we traded to the Rays first name? Jackson
Jackson Baumeister. This is
Baumeister.
proof that both you and I are old.
No, I've got it confused because I could have sworn his last name was Baumeister. So forget him. But he's got to be one of the most disappointing, whatever his name is, and I'm really sorry I don't have it in front of me because that's ridiculous. Um, Let me ask you a question. This is a little bit off track, but I really thought that Chris Holt going back to the minor leagues was going to be a big help in the minor leagues.
Yep.
Do you get the sense that Chris Holt will be with the Orioles next year? I haven't heard much about him at all.
Oh, man, I get it has worked. Again, they don't draft near the top of every round, so
And
the
they don't take
talent,
a lot of pitchers in the draft.
right? So Holt, I want him. I want him in our organization, and I want him in this role. But this from last June till now, he's going to have to work with undrafted free agent type pitchers out of college instead of like the second pick of the second round type pitchers. So for him, the challenge of educating and preparing these athletes is very different, but he is the one that I want doing that.
Right.
As far as will he return or should he return, I really have no indication, and I haven't heard his name, which usually is
Yeah.
not very positive. But
I haven't
I
heard
think
his
he's
name
doing a very
mentioned
good
at all.
job.
Okay. Let me get my Costas in ad in, and then we'll finish up. We'll talk about who your organization player of the year is. And we've given it away that it's one of two people, Kobe Mayo, who's up with the big club right now, or Sammy Basayo. And we'll talk about that when we get back in just a second. So stay with us. Got to tell you about the Costas Inn on the Monday show with Ross and Luke. We got 6 thumbs, but tonight we'll have just 4 thumbs. That's not bad. 10 per week. They
I
get
can
10
only provide
per
2.
week. Yeah. Um, anyway, the Costas Inn, just a super place, been around the same location, North Point Boulevard, 4100 North Point Boulevard for over 50 years. They've got nightly specials on the weeknights from Monday through Friday that will knock your socks off and aren't too hard on your wallet. So the Costas Inn is the place to go. And again, make this point. You live in the Essex, Middle River, Sparrows Point, Dundalk area, Golden Ring Mall. Try the Costas Inn again for the first time because there's room for you there. They're still doing gangbuster business, but a lot of the people that used to drive 20, 25 minutes from Catonsville or Budas Glen Burnie with that Key Bridge disaster, they're not driving an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes to go out to eat. So again, plenty of room for you now at the Costas Inn. Same great menu, always great quality meals at the Costas Inn. Don't forget, for crabs, call their number 410-477-1975 to reserve your crab order. Make sure they've got the size you want, they're at the price point you want, and that they're available. Call a couple days in advance for your crabs at the Costas. All right, now back to the show. And again, we want to remind folks we appreciate your watching. Make sure you like us, share us, and what was the other word? Share us and can't remember. Somebody took my piece of paper.
I also don't recall. Right
Okay.
now, my
There
mind
was
is
3
very much.
things. So the main thing is like us, share us,
Oh, follow us.
and follow us. That's it.
Follow
Damn
us.
it. And Luke didn't remember it either. All right. Follow us, like us, and share us. It's perfect.
Please.
Appreciate it. We really appreciate it. Eric's been a big addition to us this year because we've been able to give you this content that I think you can get nowhere else at this point in time. If the club's not going to hire him, he'll be back with us. All right. Eric and I will do one more show next week. Then we'll take off through the World Series and start right back up in November, more like once a month in November and December. And as events warrant, if suddenly the Orioles make a big international signing or something, we'll have you on. Okay.
Right. Prospect season never ends.
Nope, it doesn't. It doesn't. And I'm sure you'll be adding some stuff content wise, be on Glenn's show, and also be writing a little bit for PressBoxOnline.com. So right now, the organizational player of the season for 2024, the Baltimore Orioles, we already named the pitcher is Cam Weston, who's done the most to elevate his position within the organization. Who is it, Eric?
This was a lot closer than I thought, but the one true superstar shining in the Orioles system is the catcher Samuel Basallo, who probably showed this year that he's going to remain a catcher for the O's. He's the youngest person in AAA right now. When he got called up, he was the youngest person. He's had 450 total at bats this year. He batted 280, 60 RBIs, 64 runs, 42 extra base hits, even stole 9 bases, 18 home runs, including the longest one in the history of Harbor Park last week, a stadium where Kobe and Heston Kjerstad and Norby and Stowers just got finished going through. So he hit a home run further than all of them. I imagine Creed will break that next season. But the one problem with Sam was the catcher defense. Didn't have a lot of errors, didn't have a lot of pass balls. So good sliding, good laterally. 18 of 69 stolen bases, only 26%. So that's his area that he needs to improve upon. But offensively, the he's 20 years old, and he's 20 years old, the youngest person in AAA, and a true offensive superstar in every single way.
If Kobe Mayo had either come up to the majors and done well at the major league level, or just simply stayed in the minor leagues, would he have been the organizational player of the year? Or he didn't do the most to up his standing
Right,
because he
right.
was already
It was
so.
already great. No,
Yeah.
honestly, when I said it was close, it wasn't. I'm very happy to boast and brag about the runner up. So, a prospect that not a lot of fans really know about right now, but over the last couple months have started to learn. That's infielder, I guess now infielder, outfielder slash Aaron Estrada. Started this year in the FCL and ended at Aberdeen. 286, 9 home runs, 52 RBIs, 39 stolen bases. But this is what really stands out: 40 walks, 70 strikeouts, adding to his amazing career ratio: 84 walks, 112 strikeouts in his short minor league career already. So this is an on base guy who can fly.
And
And
how big is he? Is he like a 5'9", 5'10", or 6'1", that's really going to fill out and hit 20 home runs?
he's not, well, he can hit home runs, but like Amparo is like 5'8". Estrada is like my height, 5'11", but he is in great shape. And he was someone who I talked to last season when he got injured during the FCL, and he really was wondering, when is my time? My class is moving on without me. Basayo has already moved up. When is it going to be my turn? And this year, I mean, he has hit the ground running. So really, if Basayo did not have a great runaway year, I would have chosen Aaron Estrada.
Where will he be in the top 30 of the team going into next year?
Okay, so I'm gonna think in the again, not everybody that ranks prospects
Yeah.
they're gonna look at his stats and they're gonna put him between 20 and 30. I'm gonna look at the entire resume and put him closer to number one than like closer to 15, between 15 and 10.
Okay. All right.
I've seen him play a lot.
So overall, as we wrap up tonight, because I want to duck off and watch the game. We usually do this earlier, but you had basketball practice,
I
which
had
is fine.
practice. Great
Um,
practice, by the way.
good, good.
Very
How's your
positive.
team this year? Gonna be good?
We we are looking amazing. If I could, I'm not going to move my phone, but it's leaning on all the trophies we won over the last 3 years, and I can't wait to win a few more. Our season starts in the end of November. We have 25 games right now, and I'm predicting at the very least 17-8. We're all juniors and seniors.
All right. Overall,
Can't wait.
and we'll talk more about this next week in less of a rushed fashion. But overall, we know next year the Orioles won't be the number one farm system. But are they still in the top 10? Is it still a lot of fruit to pick off of here?
I by my determinants and the way that I would say no. There's just we don't draft there. What you
Yeah,
said
I
in
understand that.
fruits, you
Understand that.
mean talent, and I think there's going to be at least 10 systems with more overall 18 to 23-year-old talent than the Orioles represent. But that's part of the plan. That there's a reason for that. So no, I'm going to say 12 or 13.
And how about the international players? Are we starting to see some fruit from that tree?
I think the best way to answer that, if there weren't any, the system would be 18, 19, or 20. So, yeah, they're
12,
present
it'll
and
be
they're making a
11, 12,
difference.
13.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Because of them. And I want to say the best new additions to the system are not Vance Honeycutt or Griff O'Farrell. They're the sluggers from the DSL team, Steven Martinez and Jordan Sanchez. Those are impact players that are going to start hitting home runs out of Ed Smith Stadium next year.
All
So
right.
without that international addition, we'd be considerably worse, in my opinion.
Okay. There you
Good
have
question.
it. It's Eric Garfield, Florida Prospects Report and Pressbox at PressBoxOnline.com. We thank our sponsors, AJ Michaels Heating and Air Conditioning, the new Atman's Deli at Harbor Point, and of course, our friends at the Costas Inn. For Eric Garfield, I'm Stan the Fan. One more show with Eric next week, and then a little hiatus for about 5 or 6 weeks, and then once a month in November, December, and then in January, we'll start to pick back up. All right.
Yep.
That does it for tonight. Go O's, right, Eric? That's one thing
Absolutely.
we can agree on. We can
Beat
agree
Boston.
on. Bye for now.